With Thor's new hammer being confirmed to be Stormbreaker in Avengers Infinity War, I thought to do a video on its origins in the comics and its powers that it has. Before we get started, please be sure to hit that subscribe button to show some love and stay up to date with Avengers Infinity War. It's interesting to compare the comics to the MCU because in the comics, the hammer isn't actually made for Thor. In the comics, the hammer is commissioned by Odin himself to be made for a cybernetic Corbinite, Beta Ray Bill.
Who the hell are you?
The story of Beta Ray Bill is actually pretty interesting for those of you who don't know it. S.H.I.E.L.D. discovers an unidentified ship heading to Earth and they send Thor to check it out. Once Thor arrives at the ship, which is called the Scuttlebutt, it scans Thor and perceives him as a threat, in which it sends Beta Ray Bill out to fight him. Much to everyone's surprise, Beta Ray Bill was actually just as strong as Thor, the two of them fighting to a standstill. But it was an even bigger surprise when Beta Ray Bill went to pick up Thor's hammer Mjolnir and was actually worthy enough to pick it up. This led to Odin teleporting Beta Ray Bill and Thor back to Asgard. Once Odin discovered that Bill was worthy enough to lift Mjolnir, he proposed a battle to the death between Bill and Thor on the fiery Asgardian realm of Skartheim. The battle ends in somewhat of a draw, both knocking each other out unconscious at the same time, but due to Bill's cybernetic enhancements, he was able to wake from unconsciousness first. Bill had the opportunity to kill Thor, but seeing him a worthy adversary actually saved his life and brought him back to Asgard. Upon returning to Asgard and speaking with Odin, Bill demanded that he keep Mjolnir, seeing as he won the battle and could use it to defend his almost extinct race. Instead of giving Bill Mjolnir, he ordered a new hammer to be made by the same dwarf star, Nidavellir, thus bringing into the world Stormbreaker. So, this storyline from the comics is clearly not how Thor is going to get Stormbreaker in Avengers Infinity War. Although we did see an Easter egg of Beta Ray Bill in Thor Ragnarok, it is very unlikely that he is going to make an appearance in Avengers Infinity War. But, since we did in fact get that Easter egg in Thor Ragnarok, this does confirm that he exists in the MCU. So we're left with the question, how does Thor get Stormbreaker in Avengers Infinity War? Although we can't really answer this question because, well, we haven't seen the movie yet, it's clearly obvious from the trailers that we've received that Thor, Team Groot, and Rocket go on a mission to get a hammer for Thor. It's actually kind of apparent from the trailers that Thor will be forging Stormbreaker himself. This would mean that Stormbreaker doesn't exist in the MCU yet and he's never met Beta Ray Bill, but it does leave it open for future Thor movies. If we look at the leaked photo of the toy that was released of Stormbreaker that actually confirmed it for us, there's an aspect of Stormbreaker in the MCU that doesn't exist in the comics, and that is the handle. If we look again at the picture of the toy, we can see that the handle is actually made out of what looks like branches, and it's widely believed that the branches come from Team Groot. This would make sense because it's rumored that Thor and Team Groot become very close in Infinity War. It does, however, leave the question, why doesn't Thor just forge a handle? Maybe he gets to Nidavellir and there's not much Uro metal left and he only has enough to make the head of it. We're not sure why, but I actually have a theory of my own. In the comics, Beta Ray Bill is there when the dwarves of Nidavellir form Stormbreaker. They tell him to reach into the furnace wearing a gauntlet and grab Stormbreaker as it's being made and pull it out. Since in the trailers we see that wherever they're forging this new hammer is pretty much deserted, maybe there's not a gauntlet for Thor to wear to keep him from getting burnt in the furnace. We know that Team Groot can grow his branches whenever he wants, so maybe he volunteers to reach into the furnace and in turn, his branches fuse with the head of Stormbreaker. This, however, is just a personal theory and I'm very curious to see what happens in the movies. So, having talked about its origins and where it came from in the comics and how Thor might get it in Infinity War, I want to talk about its abilities. As I mentioned before, Odin ordered the hammer to be made by the dwarves of Nidavellir, who are the same dwarves that made Mjolnir. Stormbreaker is actually made of the same Uro metal that Mjolnir is made out of as well. But the hammers aren't equal in strength. Actually, Stormbreaker is more powerful than Mjolnir. This is because Odin himself actually puts an enchantment on Stormbreaker. The enchantment gives Stormbreaker the abilities that Mjolnir has, such as the worthiness enchantment, meaning only the worthy can lift it, the ability to throw it and it being able to return to its sender, and of course it's simply just having amazing striking power. But it also has new abilities that Mjolnir doesn't have, such as the power of teleportation. This gives the wielder the ability to transport interdimensionally or to teleport objects. It also has elemental control. It not only has the ability to summon lightning, but it also has the ability to create storms, intense gale force winds, and rain. And last but not least, it has energy projection, different from lightning, but is a powerful concussive type blast as well, composed of some type of mystical energy. It seems appropriate that Thor will be getting Stormbreaker in Avengers Infinity War, seeing as it is much stronger than Mjolnir, and Thanos is going to be the toughest villain that Thor or the Avengers have ever faced. What do you think about Thor's new hammer, Stormbreaker? Do you prefer it, or do you prefer his original hammer, Mjolnir? Also, what do you think about Beta Ray Bill being in the MCU? Let me know in the comments below, and please be sure to drop a like and subscribe to my channel to stay up to date on Avengers Infinity War, Thor, all things Marvel, and all things superhero. Thank you so much for watching. Woof woof.